Hi, guys. As you know, this is the Existential Nerd, and I'm Eric, and we are here with
Mark Benfer.
Laura Benfer.
And you guys represent...
We're with Another Castle Creations.
And Mark Benfer Photography.
There you go. So today's discussion that we're going to have is cosplay and photography. I kind of want to discuss and explore the concepts of how the two actually really kind of belong together. So let's kind of start off with your photography. What got you started with it?
Well, when I was younger, I had cheap point-and-shoot cameras, and of course the days of film. You didn't shoot a lot, but I always found it fun.
Oh yeah.
Really got started. I had a nicer point-and-shoot digital camera. Went to Northern Ireland on a trip, and everybody really liked the photos that I came back with. And of course, I took 3 or 4 times as many as everybody else because it was just fun. And kind of started from there. Got a nicer SLR camera, a DSLR camera, and enjoy what I do with it.
Okay. Now, like you said, I think every kid has had that camera.
Yeah.
The one you're like little cheap disposable ones, or even the cheap disposable, or those really nice Canons or whatever back, or Nikons back when you were a kid. You got that little flip open, and you got to pull the strip out a little bit. And then you're like, okay, stay down. You're like, did I do it right? Click, click, click. Oh, because you don't want to reopen it and expose the film.
That's not good.
And then you ruin your whole
The one I started with was actually the 110 film, which was like smaller, and so it was all in a cartridge.
Yeah, I remember
so it was
those.
Really cool, and it was kind of like a spy cam.
The blocky,
small,
rectangular,
had a
ugly
flip-up
things.
Flash, and so it was not high quality in any way, but I had some good photos come out of it.
I remember the old Polaroid Instamatics and or Kodaks, actually, Kodak, Polaroid, kind of a competitor there.
Yeah.
We had one of each when I was growing up, and those you really didn't want to waste pictures on because that stuff was expensive. Yeah. But it was nice because boom, shake it out and instantly right there.
And we actually met some people who still shoot that kind of Kansas City area.
Nice.
We went to Instameet in Manhattan, and they came up. They kind of do Instameets out of Kansas City area, but they came up for the one that we were a part of, and they were still shooting it. It was really interesting. They'd take a picture, then they'd take a picture with their phone, load it to Instagram. So because it was kind of a contests,
we got
prizes along the way.
It's kind of
neat to see it.
Weird.
It's a weird mix, but it was interesting. Some of the stuff they were doing with them was neat. But they were talking about the price of the film, and
I would only suspect it's gotten much worse nowadays because I believe Kodak sold off a lot of their Instamatic stuff. I can't remember if it's Polaroid or it did. I can't remember what the whole thing is because I don't follow photography business much, but I know Kodak sold off a lot of theirs. I don't think Polaroid's in it anymore much else.
Yeah, their factory was actually bought out by another company, but they didn't get the chemical process for it, so they're still trying to figure it out. So what this lady had told me was 50% of the film doesn't work, and so it's like, man.
What's really cool though, the Instamatic concept isn't really going to go away very much. I mean, the style that we're used to, that grew up with, I think it's going to be gone before long. But we're seeing printers that are so small. I mean, I believe it's Discovery Channel has a show where they show these people inventing cool stuff, and one is you attach it to a phone and it prints it right off there. I've seen one similar to this for other products, and I think that's where we're going to see a bit of a boom again because people love to share photos. Instagram is popular because of that, but we still like, even in a digital age, we want something tangible. We can just sit there and go,
and this is something that a lot of photographers push. You want something you can hang on your wall, something you can share. If it's just setting up there in the cloud or on your hard drive, it's really hard to get that, and it becomes an heirloom when you have it as something tangible.
Yes, I agree. So. That's one of the things, kind of off a little bit of a tangent for this, is we are exposing ourselves so much with photography now. Everybody's a photographer at some level, whether with a, like yours with a nice camera, or people just walking around with their tablets or a cell phone snapping cool pictures. And we got services like Instagram, Imgur, Flickr, even Google Plus, which is a wonderful site for photo sharing because they don't alter the picture, and if they do, they have the original still backed up. Facebook, kind of, sort of. If you're a avid real photographer, you don't want to use Facebook. People,
they like to shrink it down because, well, just think of the amount of people on Facebook and all the photos that are up there.
But look
It's
at
taken
Google.
up a lot.
Google Plus, you can upload the original photo
Yep.
and not lose. And what's kind of cool is the software automatically filters it a little bit. And I've seen some where it's like, I like the original, and then some where it's like, holy crap, it's amazing. But everybody's a photographer, and we lose, like you said, that sense of nostalgia, if you will, about the photo. At the Kansas City Comic-Con, I got a picture with my son with Adrian Paul. Backstory, my son's name is Adrian Paul Schutz. Huge Highlander fan when it was out. So we went there, introduced my son. My son just like, hi, my name's Adrian. My dad named me after you, so my middle name's Adrian Paul. And he's like, the guy's face lit up. It was amazing. And and not like an actor, I'm going to act like I'm, he's just like, blah, blah.
That's amazing.
And I got the picture. And the picture's great, but you got to admit, getting a picture on Instagram or your phone or something, it's cool and it's easy to share. But
you get some likes here and there, and so it's good for a little bit.
But it's just not the same as, look at that on the wall. It's granted, I could still do it, but it just doesn't have the same feel because back in the day, you took a photo, that was it. There was no, if you wanted a copy of it, you were spending a good amount of money on a cheap copy because back in the 80s, copying machines were not cheap, and if you knew somebody who had one, it was usually black and white and lost its.
It was thin paper instead of a good quality print like what you can get pretty easy from your printer now.
If you have the original the original film that you took the picture with, you could get more, but there's just something magical about capturing that moment. So now, capturing those moments, what is your choice of camera?
I use Nikon. A lot of people have gone to the not the DSLR, the mirrorless. I hear more and more podcasts that I listen to where they're going that route. I've stuck with Nikon. That's what I bought the lenses for. And so it's mainly
you invest some money and stuff. You want to stay on that route.
So at this point, that's where I'm at. Don't have the newest and greatest stuff, but it gets me where I need to be on photos.
Is this film or is this digital?
This is digital. This is a DSLR. This is the D7000.
Explain what DSLR means.
Digital single lens reflex is what SLR stands for.
Doesn't that mean where it basically takes a bunch of pictures, but it kind of builds the best picture possible from it, or?
That's HDR.
That's HDR, and I can shoot multiple exposures with this and merge them in computer. Basically, the SLR, the old film Nikons, that was an SLR. They just added a D on it, and they use the same lenses. So the lenses have a snap off. You can change them out. This is a 60 millimeter macro, so it's great for closer up. One I love to do for shots is a 35, and these are prime. This you're not quite as zoomed as the 60 millimeter, so it works a little better for cons. The great thing with the macro is they're affordable, or the not macro.
Wide angle.
The wide angles. You can get more picture in there. The non-zoom is what I was going for. The non-zoom lenses, you get a little more affordable. So 35, very affordable lens, and this is an actual Nikon. I also shoot Tamron, a little more affordable yet, and they're good quality still.
As long as the quality is good, you're not terribly picky. As long as it works for the camera, right? I've seen people that, regardless of the product or whatever it is you're into doing, some people are very picky. It's got to be this, it's got to be that. Just because it says that it's this brand doesn't always make it the best. And sometimes I've seen where the cheaper version comes off better because they kind of the company itself has a little bit more to put on the line, so to speak, if you will. So I felt fancy going to Walmart spending 15 total bucks on those little attachments you clip on your camera. I got those, and I was all happy with those. And you got these, and
and
It's a little bit of an investment.
yeah,
it is, and you can, if you got the money, you can spend all kinds of fun money on it.
oh yeah,
But this is kind of a affordable lens too. It's a lens baby, and really neat stuff you can do with it. I don't usually use it for con floor because it's harder to use.
what is it?
It's really it allows you to adjust your point of focus.
So it kind of blurs out. Like if you're wanting to focus down over here, like there's a puppy in the picture, and everybody's standing around going like, "Oh, look at the puppy," and you want to focus there and blur them. It lets you do that.
Yeah, it works really nice for people photography because you can do you can really focus on like their makeup that they have and the face that they have going on, and then the rest of the picture is just really soft and really pretty.
I have to admit, I've seen these, like pictures where people actually use these type that looks so amazing, and then we see the digital versions that you can do in photo, not necessarily, not even in Photoshop. Even you can do it in Photoshop, but what I mean is like cheaper stuff, and it just doesn't feel the same.
The digital filters, it doesn't give you that true feel that
It's
you
the
have from
distance.
Yeah, and the in camera, if you can do it in camera, it's better.
Much better. So, what would you say is the best way to get a great picture at a con? And let's stay away from the obvious. The obvious here is a good camera. Let's say I'm
money.
Get a really expensive camera and a really expensive lens. You don't want to do that.
Let's go with the average person. Me. I'm walking around with a tablet, and let's assume this is at least a 5 megapixel, even though this one is not. It's a crap. Let's assume it is a 5 megapixel because that's about average for the low end today. Let's say I also bought $15 for the macro and wide angle and the 8x zoom. Just say we got something. So what would be the best option to go, or the best way to get some great pictures at these cons?
The biggest thing with indoor photography is getting good lighting.
Yeah.
And with most cons and indoor places, it's hard to do flash, and especially if you're not using a more professional camera. So you got to come up with a way of getting good lighting. So finding good windows that's going to light everybody, that makes a lot of difference. Because if you don't have that, you're going to get a grainier photo. Your camera is going to try to adjust and get the right exposure, but it's very difficult for it without good lighting.
As somebody who's played around enough to try to get a good picture, usually resulting to turning off flash and then doing post editing later to brighten it up somehow, is when I take a picture in a room that seems bright enough, and then you take the picture and flash, and next thing you know is just like white. It just whites them out. Flash. It doesn't matter what skin tone the person had or how well tanned or anything. It's just white.
And with flash, you don't want to do direct on people. One thing that I'll do for cons, and where I'm just wandering around, get something to diffuse it. So this, I can put it on a flash, and it'll diffuse the lighting, and so it's not quite as harsh.
For the non-professional photography, non-savvy type, diffusing the light would be...
You're making it a larger source, so it's not quite as harsh.
Instead of focusing, it's spreading it out.
Spreads it out a little bit. More of what a natural lighting would be.
You lose a lot of the really harsh shadows that are going to give you kind of a weird look in pictures.
See, that's why everybody has a weird shadow. It's very funny with them. It's because I'm not using light diffusing.
And getting lighting in the right locations is important, but it's very hard to do at a con situation.
Well, as a good example, even with video production. We talked to Mike Mundy at TopCon this last year. Great person, wonderful interview. But the problem was we didn't catch this until after the fact, long after the fact, that he was blue. Plus, Patrick Barnett played one of the Borgs in Star Trek a lot. Blue.
Yep.
And we had great lighting up in where we did it, but just
the type of lighting makes a big difference.
it was all natural lighting too.
Yeah.
Most cameras will automatically adjust for the type of lighting, but some of them don't do a great job.
Yeah.
So adjusting your white balance can be important. Most of the time I shoot in just auto
Yeah.
because I can change it in post, and it's fairly easy to do that. Because if you change it to the type of lighting, you're going to forget when you're in a con situation, and then everything's going to be yellow or whatever for your next photos. So
Generally speaking, yeah, auto does work. Don't be afraid of it.
Auto works really well most of the time.
Unless you know you're going to be in a situation where you're setting up camp, so to speak, and you're going to be using all this lighting, that's probably when you'll be like, time to fiddle with it and set it up perfectly. So moving on with our next question is, now you're both cosplayers. I've seen you do Bob from Bob's Burger on a couple pictures.
That was our Halloween costumes this year.
You've went to TopCon and to Kansas City Comic-Con as the Green Arrow, the Robin Hood-esque comic book faithful version.
That hat,
Boxing glove arrow.
That hat and just so much drew me to that character.
Yes, he's a great character. I love a lot of the modern making fun of and him standing there defending it like, what's up with that?
It works.
And you have done Supergirl.
Yep.
What other characters do you guys like to go as?
Since we're part of a large group, there's about 6 of us that are in another castle. We like to do ones where we can all be part of the same one. So we do a lot of Disney. Mark gets left out sometimes. He doesn't want to be a prince, but we'll get him there eventually.
With the camera, it's very hard to be in costume taking pictures. So most cons I try to do a day where I'm not in as extensive a costume at least.
That makes a lot of sense.
No. And the other big one we have is we have a big Marvel group. So I have a Squirrel Girl.
Okay.
With like the big 4-foot tail that Mark figured out the harness.
I believe I saw the picture of that one. Yes.
It's
I
not the
bet
most
that was
comfortable costume to wear, but it is really fun.
I would have to say it's crazy to wear in a convention unless you're able to stay behind your table. I would suspect it could get a little hectic.
We actually rode the metro train at Denver in that costume, so it actually wasn't that bad.
It was pretty amazing getting on a train, everybody in Marvel.
Yeah.
Of course, my current Marvel is just Agent Coulson.
Nice.
And so it's just a suit with a badge. Plan on.
Did you get yours from Loot Crate?
I did actually use the Loot Crate badge at one point, but I made an ID based off of the one that he wore in the show.
I had one, and I still do. It's up on my Tumblr and my Flickr account, the one when S.H.I.E.L.D. first came out on television. I got to print that off sometime, because it would be fun to go as. But
it was a good, easy costume.
Oh, yeah.
We wanted to do a Marvel, and at that point I hadn't made as extensive costumes, so I thought, well, I can do an Agent Coulson pretty easily, and it worked well. If I was with the group at Planet last year, I was wearing it and kind of got behind everybody, was taking photos, and people thought I was with media or something that way.
Just like really dressed up to come to a con.
Yeah.
Something
I like is families when they do dress up together.
Yes.
And I came across a family and asked if I could take their picture. But you always want to ask, take their picture. Cosplay
Definitely.
is not consent. So ask before you do. And then they were asking, which media outlet I was with. I said, well, actually, I am a photographer. Here's my card, but I'm just in costume. So it's interesting sometimes.
That's one of the bad things with going with a costume that a lot of people might not necessarily be well, now Agent Coulson doesn't dress in the typical suit half the time anymore.
Yeah.
He's more of the action hero look going. And when you try to dress like that character, it's kind of hard to stand out. Like Kansas City Comic-Con, there was a guy who was, if you didn't weren't familiar with the Hugh Jackman version of Wolverine, you wouldn't have realized that's who he was because he's walking around in a white. I'm not going to use that term. A white tank top, the mutton chops, and he's got and the only thing that really helped stand out was the claws. So it's kind of hard.
We were in U.S. Toy in Kansas City last weekend, and I'm just like, that guy looks familiar.
That was him.
He wasn't in costume, but I was like, that's the Wolverine.
Definitely. So where do you guys pull a lot of your inspirations from as far as like doing the photography and also your cosplay?
A lot of cosplay with having a group. We have a chat that we talk back and forth, and somebody will come up with an idea, pitch it to everybody. So I mean, we've got thousands of ideas out there that most of them are just talk, but we kind of narrow it down. And
we have a rule that every person in the group gets one force. So if I absolutely want everyone else to do it and no one else is on board, I can force everyone to do it. So it kind of helps keep a little balance, and that just lets everyone have some input on it.
There's nothing worse than being in a group and that one person or those 3 people, you know, let's say you're in a large group of 10 people, and there's always that one small chunk that has their way. Because everybody's like, well, sometimes it's like, they had a great idea and I liked it. Okay. But then they're the ones who are like, well, we're doing it my way or else. And nobody likes that. Nobody. And I could, and going that route, like you're saying, everybody gets their force. One force each. And I'm guessing it has to go full circle before
once it's
reset.
done, it's done until everyone else has used theirs.
And we haven't had to use it yet. Everything that we've done so far, everybody's agreed upon. So
we're all pretty equally nerdy, so we tend to just get really excited about everything.
I would suspect the biggest arguments might come from, I want to be this character right now. No, I want to be it, so I got the costume. I don't care.
We were planning to do a Lord of the Rings one coming up, and there was a little bit of a heated discussion on who got Gadriel. So, especially because we're mostly females, and so everyone was like, no, I want to be Gadriel. I want to be Gadriel. So, but we just tend to work it out, and then someone will be like, all right, well, I'll be.
And nobody wants to be Gollum.
No.
Poor Gollum.
Poor Gollum.
Oh, well. So, kind of curious. Now, cosplay usually generates from costume play as a certain comic book character, usually. Or sometimes other things, but generally speaking, most people cosplay as comic book characters. Who's your favorites?
Wow.
Squirrel Girl is my favorite, especially the reboot. I really like the writing and the art style and the direction that they're going with her.
Well, with such an oddball character, they really have to make sure they got something strong for it, because when you say, like, if I was a superhero and I'm like, I'm Squirrel Guy.
Right. What?
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
Yep. But I really like the art, and I like that Marvel is willing to have something a little sillier. Not super serious all the time. But that's probably my favorite, especially of the ones that are like currently running. Definitely my favorite.
And they did some good humor with that character, the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I mean, it's such a really unique idea.
How about you?
I really like the older Green Arrow. Trying to think of ones that are on my list of costumes I want to do that I've read much of the comic books. That's kind of, I get inspiration, but I haven't read a lot of the comics that they're based on, which is...
Don't feel bad, because honestly, as a comic book nerd, if you over there there's a tote behind the camera that I have that's my extent of the comic book collection I have. About one half of that is either Dark Horse or totally independent stuff. Squirrel Girl, I didn't know she actually existed until maybe a few months ago when it was being thrown out there. Who should be next for a Netflix series? And Squirrel Girl ended up on that list on this one website. And I'm like, who? So don't feel bad. But
I do collect the Walking Dead books, the hardback.
So do I.
I do a Rick Grimes, which I've on my second version of the costume. The first one was originally a Halloween costume, so it was a shirt that I got at the thrift store and sewed a little bit of fabric where it needed the brown patches and just some brown pants that I had. Then the next version that I have now is, again, thrift store pants and shirt, but it's a lot more professional as far as the sewing goes. And it's still not up to the Green Arrow that I've done, but it's still an interesting costume to be in. And I've always enjoyed the book and the show. So.
If I could get the amount of foam necessary and learn how to sew again, I would have to go as a Ninja Turtle. I grew up on the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Huge fan. Always have been. I mean, I have an entire shelf dedicated to them over there on my nerd shelf. And I have pretty much all the Archie comics. I even have both digital and also in paper over there. But I've seen some, and that is some phenomenal work, and I could only imagine the man hours. I probably wouldn't be able to wear a costume until next year.
Start planning for 2017.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the original, like the 90s cartoon of it, or the movies in there, that would be like
those would be the
new ones.
easiest.
I'm not big on the look they went for.
I hear a lot of people going back and forth. Yeah. Kind of off topic of what we're talking about, but on topic still, sort of. Yeah. Have you seen the new trailer?
Yeah, I saw it. It popped up on Facebook the other day, and I was kind of watching it. It's interesting.
I have a few theories that I probably will hit on later on some weird thing sometime, maybe in a comment section. I already did on the Notes and Nerds page regarding the flying ships. I have some theories, and I'm hoping they pan out, because new director, same producer, yes, and I'm not a Bay basher. I don't think it's fair, because honestly, I actually like most of his films, so sue me.
There's nothing wrong with a good action. Well, explosions.
Yeah. Real quick, your opinion. People who just lambaste these, oh my God, I went and saw Transformers, a horrible film because... Okay, it sounds like people are going to these films expecting some kind of, I don't know, philosophical enlightenment.
Yeah,
or like an Oscar film.
Yeah.
You're going to a movie to watch giant robots beat up giant robots with people in the background going, yay!
Yeah. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't have to focus in on every little detail. Just enjoy.
I can argue that part 2 had some issues that I wasn't too keen on, like the going up the pyramid, and I was with my son, who in 2007 is when it came out. My son was 7, and explaining to him the joke of ding, ding, ding. Thanks, Michael Bay, for having me have that talk that early. So yeah. So let's see here. I was curious, your involvement. Let's go into a little bit more with your involvement with Another Castle Creations. How deep does the rabbit hole go, so to speak?
We're all pretty connected, either through school, which is how a lot of them got our friends, or people dating other people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we're pretty tied in, pretty tight.
So we see, our first con was Planet 2014.
Yeah.
Other members of Another Castle Creations were there, but we didn't connect up. We knew some of them at that point, but so then our first con together, one of the members came to TopCon, the first con in 2014.
Yeah, which is when we did our first cosplay ever.
And
so
it was kind of a Disney theme between the three of us.
Mm-hmm. We did a Mabel and Dipper from Gravity Falls.
Okay, yes.
So, confuse some children when you tell them that you're married, but you're dressed as brother and sister. So don't do that. Stay in character.
Stay in character.
Otherwise, it just gets weird.
It just gets awkward.
So that was our first time, but we weren't really part of the group yet then. It was just kind of, we're going to this con, you want to come? And, so then this year at Planet, we did some group. That's when we did the Marvel. Kind of started to become part of the group then, and then we all decided, well, let's go to Denver, because one of our members lives in Denver. Let's go to Denver Comic-Con, and that's when we really became part of the group, and it's kind of built from there.
I did not realize you guys were all spread out that much.
Yeah.
That is
Missouri, Kansas, and Colorado.
Missouri, Kansas, I can understand.
Yeah.
Colorado, that's on the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
It works pretty well, though, because my parents live out in western Kansas, so
There
it's
you
about
go.
halfway. So if we drive to my parents' house, we can stay the night. And, you know.
And Denver's got some big
EDU.
cons too, so.
Yeah, Denver Comic Con. I can't remember what the numbers is. Yeah, it was
like the third largest con this year.
It was,
Wow.
Yeah. It was amazingly large, and it was
crazy.
yeah.
Basically, what you're saying is they're competing to take the big international from San Diego, the Comic Con.
Yeah, they're
Trying.
right up there, and they're about out of space in the convention center. So, talking with some of the people that we met there, they were talking about the plans are there to expand that convention center to allow for bigger things. And
Well, if the cons like that one is going
Yeah.
big like that, I mean,
yeah.
it makes sense.
And
So
theirs is a really neat idea for a con. It's what's called Pop Culture Classroom. So it helps kids using pop culture and helps in education. I don't know a whole lot about it, just what I've read, but some of the funds from their con go to support that, and so they're all year long they're pushing to help their program there. So it's really neat how they're using pop culture and all the nerddom that we love to help teach. So
awesome.
So we like supporting their con.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, what projects do you guys have with another Castle Creations and maybe even just your photography itself? Is there any awesome big kind of things you guys are going on?
Yeah, we're working on. I can't even remember how many costumes.
Too many
We've
many
got
costumes.
a good list going for this next year. We will be part of Empower Comic Con, which is a startup con in Topeka, and so I think it'll be really neat what happens there. It's a really cool theme.
Mm-hmm.
We will be part of a brand new con in Manhattan, Kansas called Little Apple Comic Con.
Yay for not having to travel.
Yeah, it's like, yes,
Yes, please.
We can sleep in our own bed and,
Yeah.
Right?
and get ready and not be in a hotel.
And not
or
try and
somebody
figure out how to
else's-
pack
Traveling for
Yeah.
cons is horrible.
So-
I did Kansas City Comic Con, my
Yeah.
friend and I, co-producer, co-founder of Notes and Nerds. We drove to Kansas City for the convention, came back up here, drove back down there the next day, come back here. We actually skipped Sunday because we were just flat exhausted.
yeah.
TopCon, we actually got a hotel.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about that off camera because it's not exactly something I want to share on camera. And it was kind of amusing, but it still was better than having to drive and just living where the con would be.
Yeah.
I'm envious.
Yeah, we're excited for it. It's a joint venture between Boom Comics, which is our local comic book store, and Kansas City COSPlay and Photography. It'll be really neat. That'll be the 27th of February.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a one day.
Just a one-day con.
And what was it called again?
Little Apple.
Little Apple,
Because
okay.
Manhattan's the Little Apple.
Ah, yes. Duh.
Yeah. So it'll be neat, and that's the week after Empower. So we're hitting hard right away, and
Yes.
2016, two cons back to back. So
Yeah.
we're excited for both. And
Yeah.
Are you guys in Planet Comic Con again this coming year, or?
we have been talking to Planet. If all goes well, we will be guests there. We weren't guests last year at Planet, just Kansas City, but we were. A lot of people remember us from Planet.
Okay.
Walking around, we made a good impact.
And how about Kansas City Comic Con?
We haven't really talked to them yet, but
That one's a bit
yeah.
out and down the road, so I mean
Yeah.
that's I believe next August again. So trying to plan that far ahead can be a little risky, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
You
you
never
got
know what's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And with like Star Wars releasing next week
Oh, gosh.
and some of that, you've got a lot of people involved with other things going on.
Yes,
So,
there's a lot happening. So looks like you guys have a lot of busy stuff going on. So I want to ask real quick. The last question is basically websites and contact stuff that you guys want to put out there for Facebook or whatever. We'll have them tell you guys what it is, and don't forget we will have that in the description below here on YouTube and also over at notesandnerds.com with the associated blog post for this video. So go ahead.
So another castlecreations.com.
.com.
So Another Castle Creations on Facebook and Instagram. Mark Benfer Photography on Facebook and Instagram, and markbenfer.com. Also my page for photography.
Awesome.
So, lots of fun stuff to come this next year, and we look forward to everybody joining in and checking out what we're doing.
Great. I would shake your hand, but I've been coughing a little bit.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I don't want you guys. It's mostly just all in the ears. So, but all the same, thank you guys very much for being here. I look forward to seeing you guys at the cons again coming this 2016. I hope to see you guys there as well. If, like I said, all their websites and stuff will be located below down on the description part of YouTube, and also on notesandnerds.com. Plus, of course, anything shared over on Facebook, so you could find them. But keep following these guys on their stuff. Wonderful pictures. So, guys, next week we probably won't be having any guests because it's going to be Loot Crate Week, I believe. It's coming up.
Yes.
Galaxy is the theme. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Plus, we got the holidays coming up, so do not expect an episode on the following week. We will be back the first of next year. We have some great guests lined up, possibly, from the way it sounds. Justin Klein from Kansas City Comic Con.
Nice.
Rick Wolf, hopefully. We're trying to get things squared away because they're working really hard with his Incognito Cinema Warriors XP. Plus a few other possible guests coming up with some great topics. So stay tuned here on The Existential Nerd.